Hello and welcome to the All 12 Signs video series for the first of 2 Capricorn full moons that we're having this Cancer season. Hello and welcome. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and as you just heard and as you can see, I channel multi-dimensional energies through my being, right? This brings in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that come through in these readings. I am recording this on the day of the full moon. You will be watching this after the event, but do bear in mind I work with 6-month cycles. I see lunations as download points, and that download gets infused into our vessel that we then work with over the next 6 months. So you're not missing out on any of the messages that come through in this reading. For those of you who know your time of birth, I recommend checking out the first house, which is your rising sign. I read for the rising sign, so the astrology will link in closest with this. However, it never, ever, 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 ever invalidates you looking at any other part of your chart. Perhaps where your sun and your moon are, because they are always getting activated with every lunation. Just look to wherever that sign falls in your natal chart. Look to the house that it's in and the themes of that house. You want to apply those themes along with all the meaning you've got going in that sign to the messages that come through. It will be as if that sign has now energetically moved to the first house. So the astrology for the rising sign will still link in. You just got to add on your own natal chart meaning on top of it. As always, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. I am reading for Aries in this video, so let us begin. Aries rising, how you doing, Aries? So I read for the rising sign. So for those of you who don't have Aries in the first house, just look to where Aries falls in your natal chart. Look to the house that it's in and the themes of that house. You want to apply all of those themes as well, all the other meaning you've got going on in the sign of Aries to the messages that come through. It will be as if that Aries energy from your natal chart has now moved to the first house. For those of you who might not necessarily know your time of birth, you can still check into the energy of just looking to where that Aries, what's in the Aries sign, whether you've got planets or celestial bodies, and you can just apply the meaning to that as well. For new viewers who didn't quite catch the introduction, I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body, and you just heard some of that in the form of the vocal light language, and when you see my hands moving around, that is a physical form of light language and transmission from the multidimensional sphere. All of this is bringing in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that come through. So, right, I'm going to be breaking down the astrology of this full moon in Capricorn, the first of 2, in regards to the Aries rising. I'll be breaking that down and I'll be shuffling while that goes on. All the cards are going to go everywhere. And then when I finished breaking down the astrology, I'm going to be, the energies that I work with, they're going to move all the cards around and do some energetic work. And then they'll put the cards into the 3 piles. The 3 piles are consisting of what have you been working on? What have you been learning in the lead up to this full moon? The second pile is the energy download that will then imprint into your vessel and unfold over 6 months. So as I said in the introduction, you will be watching this after the event of the full moon. It happened just before the summer solstice, so a lot of my time is taking up doing that, so there's been a delay in me getting all these videos out, but this energy is relevant for the next 6 months leading us up to the Capricorn new moon of what we're going to then be working with. So that's pile 2. What energy download do you have? Now, I really recommend, as always, regulars, you know I do this all the time, checking out the collective reading that is always the first reading out on this Capricorn full moon. It's where I get to break down the astrology in way more detail of how all the celestial bodies are talking to each other at the exact moment of the full moon. And this forms a harmonic blueprint, right? An energy frequency that we can then work with. So I get to really expand on what that feels like. And then if you observe that and you can sort of see, okay, how might this show up? How could I work with this and amplify it? It's a great way of becoming more in awareness. So you can, from your own autonomy, work out how you want to work with it. Lots and lots of channeled messages and channeled visions came through with that, because we're activating quite a big, very powerful lunation cycle here with the first Capricorn moon, the second the first new moon in Cancer, and then the second Capricorn full moon, where there's lots of big astrological stuff around this lunation cycle, which I talk about in way more detail in that collective reading. I also did collective tarot, and so if you want a deeper understanding of what's going to show up in regards to the Aries area of your life based on the tarot here and the astrology, go check out that collective reading. All of these oracle cards, I always pull them. There's so many in this reading. I always pull them before doing a transit. I will be doing the oracle reading when I finish doing the all 12 sign series, and so this well, it will be, but often I do this after the transit itself, and it all sort of brings everything together. So if you don't necessarily have time to check into the collective reading, often the oracle reading can sort of sum everything up, as well as what's come through in the all 12 sign series as well. So Aries rising, or where is this happening for you? Well, wherever Aries falls in your chart, this energy is squaring your Aries energy. So this is Capricorn and also Cancer as well, where the sun is, and both of these signs square your Aries energy, and a square is an aspect of Mars. Mars can bring about conflict, drama, frustration, winning at all costs. If any of these things do come up, they let you know where there's friction, where there's energy to work with, and also help you contemplate, well, how do I want to work with conflict, right? Is this drama really important to me? Flip side to a square is big manifestation energy, right? Mars is our motivation, our drive, and our action. Without friction, right? Push your fingers together at a 90-degree angle and you'll feel the pressure there, right? The power that's there. And so without friction, our 3D linear time frame dimension that we're very consciously aware that we're in wouldn't operate in the way that it operates. And so this friction builds, it creates in the 3D realm. And so squares are sort of big builder energy, because Mars isn't just the god of war. Mars is also a builder and a farmer. So there's a sense of cultivation, of putting in the work, of getting things going and manifesting in the 3D realm. It's a very powerful aspect, even if there may be a couple of challenges involved in it. So wherever Aries falls in your chart, you've got this square energy. And not only that, but with the sun being in the sign of Cancer, Venus and Mercury there as well, this is forming what's called a T-square. So you have an opposition, we've got the sun and the moon, and they're both forming 90-degree angles to your Aries energy, and it forms a T. The release point of the T is the bottom, right? So that's your Aries energy. So all of this is being funneled into the Aries area of your chart. Now, this ties in to, there are two main sort of astrological shifts and quite big energy that are happening with this lunation cycle. The first one got instigated in Aries season last year, when we had 2 new moons in the sign of Aries, and this shifted how the new and full moons fall over the last year and a bit, nearly a year and a half. It's a year and 3 months really, that we went, so for example, right, usually we have the new moon followed by the full moon that's opposite the sign. Now, since Aries season last year, we've had in conjunct lunations. So for example, we had the Sagittarius full moon followed by the Gemini new moon. So rather than having the new moon before the opposition, we've had it round the other way. And this is the final in conjunct moon, where we had the new moon in Gemini and then the full moon in Capricorn. So these two signs are what's called in conjunct with one another. It is not a traditional aspect. It is a little bit discombobulating. It can be a bit frustrating, because we're essentially working with 6 different energies, trying to get them to figure each other out and then collaborate. I'm just going to pause. I feel like I've got a tickle in my throat, and I'm just going to pause and come back to you. Sorry about that, Aries. That might happen throughout the reading. I had a massive download integration, one of the most beautiful moments of my life, a couple of weeks ago. 2 weekends ago, and then I immediately got sick, and then immediately the opposite energy to that beautiful moment showed up in my life. This often happens when we've got big integrations, big downloads, where we'll then see it come, the reverse of that come into sphere. Also, the 3D vessel has a while to catch up, so it gets ill in order to break down the systems to bring in the new frequency in the 3D world. And I'm just sort of saying that because we've had so many in conjunct downloads, right? So as I said, 6 different energies trying to figure each other out. Gemini is mutable air, it's yang in nature. Capricorn is cardinal earth and yin in nature. So it's kind of like herding cats. And as I said, it's not really a traditional aspect. So it's breaking against tradition. It's not really a free flowing energy. It can be lots of energies just trying to butt heads against each other, or not really be paying attention to what everybody else is doing and going their own way, which is why it can be a bit frustrating, right? It can be crossed wires, miscommunication, and as I said, a bit discombobulating, but it's not traditional. So it's breaking against tradition. It's bringing in new frequencies that are sort of beyond our current paradigm. And so we've been having that since Aries season last year, where we've had a lot of downloads that have unlocked pathways within ourselves that might not have been readily accessible before. And so we've had those downloads, but it may have felt a bit discombobulating. It may not feel like it's quite integrated over the last year and a half. And this is the last year and 3 months. This is the last in conjunct moon. It's very much tied into the Gemini new moon cycle that we just had. And all those Gemini transits, absolutely love doing those. A lot of really powerful energy came through in all those readings. And I feel very intuitively guided to sort of say, if you haven't caught them, go catch them out, because that Gemini energy is playing a very pivotal role about how we perceive our environment, how we perceive the world, and how we collect information. There's the Gemini new moon. That's very much linked into what's being integrated here very quickly with this Capricorn full moon. Jupiter's in Gemini now. That transit is a year-long transit, so that series is still very live. We also had 2 conjunctions in the sign of Gemini with the sun. First was Venus and the sun, and then was Mercury and the sun. And I did 2 pick a card readings for those. Really potent energy came through with that. Yes, they're linked into particular time transits, but I do feel like all the pick a card readings so far, I've done 3, have seemed very timeless, right? So whenever you come across them, there'll be some information in there and energy around what you're being drawn to. So I do recommend those. But if you don't have time, I've got an Instagram and a community page where I post a very short summary of everything that's come through, so you can go check those out as well. And so now we've got this Capricorn full moon. It's the last key, the last pathway that is being activated. And then we've got that Cancer new moon followed by the Capricorn full moon. So now the moons are going back into the direct line, the straight line, the balance, the opposition. So things are coming into balance. Things are being streamlined over all of those in conjunct, non-traditional downloads that have been we've been working with over the last year and 3 months, not a half. And so this is why this cycle is really important. And not only that, right? Aries, you've got eclipses in your sign, along with the sign of Libra. You know, you mark the equinoxes, whereas Capricorn and Cancer mark the solstices. We've just had the solstice, summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. And these are all pivot points of Earth, right? But you've got eclipses there, and eclipses mark big new beginnings as well as big endings, and they instigate that cycle. Now, Capricorn and Cancer square those energies, you know, everything that I just mentioned before in regards to the Aries era of your chart. Now, all of that, what I said about the manifestation of things being brought into being, is still very relevant for the Cancer and Capricorn transits, as well as your natal chart, because they are the signs that are seeing things come into being that are linked into those eclipse cycles. The Cancer area of our chart, which I will talk more about in the Cancer new moon, kind of represents the South Node energy, where the South Node is getting manifested and materialized. And so the Cancer area has kind of got a bit of bashing, and the amount of conversations that I've had with people, whether they know their astrology or not, where they've been talking about their lives, and it's all been very intertwined to the kind of the drain that's been going on in the sign of Cancer. That, you know, the South Node is the tail of the dragon. It is what we're releasing. It can often be a closing in, a sort of narrowing down, and not necessarily the outward yang manifestation of a lot of action. It's a very yin, esoteric energy where we go inward and we refine. And often with that refinement, we're releasing a lot of old things and old patterns. And you can see just a bit of a heaviness, a bit of a drain going on in the Cancer area of your chart, where things might not be manifesting in the way that you would like them, but it is calling you to refine this area of your life. And it's serving us in the long term, even if it may be a little bit difficult. So that's what's going on in the Cancer area, which I will obviously tap into with the new moon in Cancer. Whereas the Capricorn area, where we're getting 2 full moons in the sign of Capricorn, is the North Node, is the Yang energy, where that's being manifested. And that's what we're hungry for, what we're striving for. The North Node can exaggerate energy and make it big. It's where we're building for the future. And so this is being activated with these 2 full moons. So we're getting very powerful downloads in regards to a longer term cycle, because the nodes aren't going to be doing this in this way round for another 18, 19 years. So it is really about a longer term cycle and dealing with big eclipse energy that is often sort of out of our control. So those are the kind of big key things that showed up in the collective reading. That is a reason why I'm saying that this particular lunation cycle is pretty powerful. And so where is this happening for you, Aries rising? Oh, they've been really specific with the cards. They've been doing that a fair amount with these readings. Capricorn for you is in your 10th house. This is the most visible part of your natal chart, where the sun was at its peak on the day that you were born. This is about your visibility, your reputation, how the big outside world sees you. It's linked into your life purpose as well as your career. It's also linked into bosses. And so I like to envisage the natal chart as a tree, right? And this is where the leaves at the top of the tree are striving towards the sun, are striving to expand and be seen. Now, 10th house doesn't have to be fully career doesn't have to be life purpose, it can just facilitate it. So you've got a big full moon happening here. Full moons do mark a sort of a closing out of a particular part of a cycle, but as we all know, there are no such things as endings. Energy is constantly transforming and shifting, and so yes, we've got a particular closing out of some energy. And so this can be linked into, I often find the universe throws everything at us. It's never either or, it's always this and that, right? So we can see a closing out of any sort of shadow work you've done around your understanding of your life purpose, of what's going on and how you respond to where your career is going, whether you're being very visible or whether your reputation, there's some difficulties around that, issues with bosses. I definitely see this as a completion of a particular cycle around how you perceive and engage with it, as well as bringing to light a higher frequency of how you tap into your career, how you tap into your life purpose. So the moon is there. The moon is our intuition, our emotional body, our unconscious, as well as how are our needs being met or not being met? How do we nourish ourselves and others? And so if there's, full moons can highlight where we're in opposition, and they can highlight triggers that we need to look at over the next 6 months, where we might be out of balance. What do we need to focus on? So bear in mind, if you do have any trigger events around a full moon, they are blessings from the sun. They are blessings from the sun. To just help you know where to look, where there might be some stuck energy within you. Full moons also mark a heightened celebration, heightened intuition, your needs being met, receiving a lot of nourishment in regards to where you're headed, in regards to your career. Perhaps, your boss really being like, you've done such good work over the last 6 months. We really appreciate you. Heightened peak around your reputation, all of those sorts of things. I can see with the moon there as well, of like getting a download around your intuition guiding you along your life path, like being more intuitively connected to that which brings you nourishment rather than burning yourself out. So I mentioned how oppositions can bring up itiala, diala ma otoila, diala di ialema otoela ma ushelema itiala. I can see with full moons of, especially with this, so where's Cancer? Cancer's over in your 4th house. This is your foundation, so you can envisage the roots that go underground. This was the darkest moment of the day that you were born. So the roots that are expansive underground, we need healthy roots, we need nourishment, we need nutrition coming into these roots. It is your ancestors, both blood and soul lineage, as well as your parental figures, the roof over your head, and the things that you do in private. And the sun is there along with Mercury and Venus. So there's a real focal point of your foundational space, of your home, of your private life. There's a lot of trauma in the fourth house because of all that ancestor stuff and your parental figures. So shining a light perhaps on any wounds around limiting beliefs from the parental figures and the ancestors that may have blocked your ability to fully expand and have your needs met in terms of your life purpose. I can see that either being highlighted or coming into balance. Having clarity and a sense of connecting to the heart space, of finding a sense of appreciation, value, getting very creative in the home space. So for some of you, this might be linked into working from home or having creative brainstorming about the next part of your path. Mercury's there. This is a very tender, soft, caring energy with Mercury and Venus combined, of like having perhaps really important conversations with loved ones, with the ancestors, with yourself, maybe having conversations, sending loving, caring, nourishing energy to your roots. But overall, you're just feeling a little more akin at home. The focal point is being in the home space, is looking to your foundations and your needs and how they're being met in the home, having more vision and clarity when you're at home. As I said, having really loving conversations as well with whoever you may live with. This might be finally sitting down and saying, look, I've burnt myself out in terms of work and I kind of need some support at home. I need more space at home with whoever you're living with, or just a celebration at home with loved ones, with in your home life, feeling really full of gratitude for the space that you have. That is helping you then give you strength to take further steps with your life purpose. Now, all of this is squaring your Aries energy. And as I said, with that T-square, the release point is you. And this is your ascendant, right? Your first house, your rising sign, which is the house of self. This is how you embody your sun or your moon, muse. Venus is very much linked into the muses. Your sun or your moon in your actions and your deeds, right? It's the lens in which you move through the cosmic waters. It's often how other people see you, because they see those actions, they see those deeds, rather than what might be going on behind the scenes with your sun or your moon. It's a very, very powerful house. It's your body, it's your appearance, it's your character, it's your sense of self. So there's something here about coming into balance between your home and your career, your life purpose, in through the way that you embody yourself, in the actions that you take, right? There's really calling you to be more in alignment and having a more holistic lifestyle where you feel nourished in the home space as well as expansive in your career. So the wisdom that you're receiving and the downloads that you're getting is calling you to embody that, right? To take action in a way that is in alignment with your roots and your leaves. There can be something here around a clarity of vision around your roots that is supporting how you're seen through your actions and your deeds in regards to your life purpose, your career, perhaps bosses, and all of those sorts of things. So what else is going on apart from none of these cards coming out? I mentioned Venus and Mercury, so we've got this real softness here, this heightened intuition in your emotional body. Now, one of the things that came up, well, there's been two things that kind of come up with this full moon in terms of the collective reading, was there's an element of forgiveness that's coming in, right? So often we can't necessarily forgive all the versions of self. And it just really felt energetically that there's been some blocks, some really big blocks that stopped us from really being able to harness our intuition away from heightened sensitivity. Like, you know, those hairpin triggers that we can get where something small, the smallest of things can happen that sets off our sensitivity, that puts us into fight and flight mode, or puts us us into a very reactionary space. And the moon in Capricorn is a serious moon, right? It's a sort of a no nonsense, let's get on with it. Let's commit to the long term. Why are we worrying about the small things? Why are you getting all sensitive kind of energy, right? And so we want these in balance. We want to be able to appreciate our intuition, be able to work with that sort of nurturing energy that we have in the sign of Cancer, as well as being able to take steps that serve us in the long term. Capricorn is the collective earth sign. It is about long-term legacy being on this planet. It's a serious energy. It's also incredibly grounded and very practical. So that Capricorn full moon, I feel like with that Gemini new moon of bringing in new neural plasticity around the heart, around how we collect information, not taking things too seriously, and really being able to elevate our understanding of connecting the dots beyond old thought patterns. But it's a very playful energy. It's very curious. It's very sort of catalytic. That is all being infused into this full moon in the sign of Capricorn, which, you know, is sort of elevating and releasing a little bit of the why so serious energy of Capricorn and the sort of the disconnect it can have from its emotional body, because it is opposite Cancer. But it's coming into an alignment of those emotions that are really supporting you in the long term. There's a seriousness to Capricorn where it's like, hey, can we draw a line under the sand with that? Can we now work together and collaborate moving forward rather than, you know, constantly being at odds? There was also a lot of energy around as I said, that forgiveness energy of like really just leaning in to having a level. Hello, Capricorn. Oh, there's a lot of conflict cards. That's right, that's enough. That'll do. Okay, we got the 8 of Cups with the 3 of Wands. Saturn, right? So Saturn rules Capricorn. So whatever's going on with the ruler of a sign is impacting and influencing the sign that it rules. And so wherever Saturn is influencing what's going on with this moon. And Saturn is over in the sign of Pisces, which is in your 12th house, Aries, right? This is the hidden house, the house of mysteries, what goes on behind the scenes and the unconscious spaces. And so often in those unconscious spaces are our trauma responses and limiting beliefs. You know, if we were having a drinking game with the readings that I do, every time I say trauma responses and limiting beliefs, we would all be very, very drunk. It's just we're at that point in the cycle of our species where we're doing a lot of shadow work, and so these things always come up, and it sometimes does feel like it's never ending. Right, so in that unconscious spaces, we can get anxiety, we can get depression, grief, loss, a sense of isolation, of going inward. And but underneath all of that is the magic of your soul, right? So it's a very magical house. And that 12th house can feel very, very personal to you, but also not particularly integrated with the rest of the chart. It's like it's a very private, behind the scenes energy that only you know about, but also it can feel kind of out of reach from you at the same time. It's a funny house, the 12th house. I always say with clients and with people who are wanting to get into astrology and work with their chart, try and figure out what that 12th house means to you. What does Pisces being behind the scenes mean to you? And find ways of being able to bring it into the 3D and integrate it with the rest of the chart, because then you'll just get a really beautiful alignment come in. I've got Cancer there, and so my personal feelings are really, really private. Like my capacity to tap in to the emotional body is incredibly powerful and really big and really loud, but it happens when I'm by myself. I have learnt over the years, and I'm still getting better at it because it's quite a vulnerable thing to bring the 12th house into the rest of the chart, of really being able to be quite confident in expressing my emotional body. I tend to just get on with things by myself. I don't really seek out too much support about my emotions, right? They are, as I said, they're very private. And I also feel quite numb a lot of the time, in regards, like I'm not necessarily feeling emotions on a regular basis. They tend to hit me while I'm by myself. So Just thought I'd give that example that, you know, I'm making sort of vulnerable steps to try and integrate that emotional body and have a greater sense of trust in my intuition, because I have trust issues. Don't we all? So Saturn being there, Saturn's favorite place to be, by the way. I can see you tapping, right, so Pisces, basically the fluky high mage wizard of the universe energy, right? Very synchronistic, very fluky, very curveball, non-linear thinking, right? Things appearing out of nowhere, the all expansive ocean. And so it can feel that perhaps, you know, this magical side of the universe is very private to you. You're able to do a lot of powerful behind the scenes manifestation in this way. Pisces is also very empathetic. It's able to see all paths, all rivers lead to the same ocean. And so this might be feelings that you have behind the scenes, but not necessarily expressing them outwardly to people. So Saturn, favorite house to be in. Regulars, you know, I've done many Saturn in Pisces transit series, talked about this a lot, how you're actually really lucky with this transit. And Saturn energetically is making the magic of Pisces real, right? But Saturn can bring up limitations, frustrations, a sense of isolation, of restriction. It's doing impinging on your authority. In order to get you into your authority, Saturn will come along and knock down foundations that are not going to serve the next 30 years, because it's a 30-year cycle. But overall, all Saturn wants you to do is walk your talk, be integral, honor cause and effect and the consequences thereof, right? And know that you need to put in the work in order to really step into a level of maturity and commitment around your legacy. So there's something going on here around the empowerment in the unconscious spaces. It may have brought up old limiting beliefs, old restrictions, in order for you to work with them and then re-tap into the magic of your soul. And also Saturn being in the 12th is really good for like going into isolation, doing that shadow work, going through the unconscious spaces. Saturn being there can really help you see the cause and effect of what limiting beliefs have done and the structures that they've impinged on you over your whole lifetime. Saturn can get really ritualistic, you know, the sort of the dedication to doing the ritual, and that can be things that get amplified with Saturn's transit there. Saturn is going to go retrograde in between these two Capricorn full moons. I think I'm going to do a pick a card reading on that. I'm not sure if I'm going to do an all 12 signs, but that will come out around the time of the Saturn retrograde. And so we're going to be really revisiting any limitations that have been cropping up. When did Saturn go direct? It was the end of last year. I think it was November last year. Everything we've been working on since then. So Saturn influencing the 10th, right? We can see this in a multitude of ways. Of one, highlighting and releasing restrictions and limitations around your capacity to step into your life purpose, around any wounds around being visible, and your reputation, of seeing and understanding the reasons why, and then being able to step into your own integrity beyond those belief systems and the limiting beliefs that is allowing in your vessel to create a new framework around your life purpose and your career that's very empowered, right? Saturn in the 12th is stepping you into your own authority of working with those unconscious spaces, of working with the magic of your soul, that's then going to amplify and influence your understanding of your life purpose, your career. With that 10th house, it's not about wanting to be seen or striving for it. It's simply about knowing that you see yourself and working from a sort of a more dedicated place. So with that North Node activation, you're going to see some big stuff show up around the next lunation cycle, around where you're headed, right, in terms of that long term, and being able to figure out the master plan. I can see lots of meditations in your home space around that, with that Mercury Venus Sun conjunction being amplified, of like then intuitively knowing through those meditations what messages that came through are going to give you support and nourishment around how you're then heading out into the world. Look to where your sun and your moon are in your natal chart. Look to the houses that they're in and the themes of those houses. Those themes are likely to have played a role around the Capricorn full moon, as well as in the lead up to the other full moon, as well as I said, this is a 6-month cycle. Those themes are likely to show up over the next 6 months of how to work with this, as well as if you're doing manifestation or intention work to amplify the energy of this moon. You see from your intuition which of those themes feel really relevant to you. Now, there's a lot more astrology going on, but I am trying to keep these videos shorter than usual, though that never seems to happen. They always seem to be around an hour, which I love, which I do love. I could talk for hours and hours and hours. But I'm aware of everybody else's time, right? So go check out that collective reading for more details of what this energy feels like. And other than that, right, the decks are down, the cards are down. I am going to go consciously quiet. The energies that I work with, they are going to move through me. I've got a fair amount of cards here. They're going to move through me. They are going to do some energy work. They're going to put the cards into the 3 piles. And that's when I'll bring the tarot into the astrology. I call you to soften your mind as well. You just had so much information. You just had so much information. You got the Magician and the High Priestess. Just let that all settle. Don't try and overthink it. And then see what your intuition brings up to you while we're doing this little bit of channeling. Itiala, diala, di elemo ot oila. Itali anima. Ot inima. Itialima. Dot it. So there's some blockages around truly knowing your capacity to manifest from the resources around you. Ishela, diala, ot. Diala, diala, Shalemo, toila. Diala, ot. Diela, dicine, tuffala. Dialiala, ma, ot. Dialia. Lema otoila. Dia shalemo otoila. Itiala diela. Doela. Dot. Diala metia lema otofiala. Diela ma otom. Diala. Di. Diala. Duelama ialama otoini. Itiala. Diala titufanima. Dialama. Diala. Diala ma autofieliana. Nitini motofala. Diala. Dihalina ma. Duela. Diala. Dishelimo autofiala. Ania. Otoinia. Diala. Duela. Wow. Aries. So we have here, I'm just going to do these first and I can move them out of the way. The 8 of Cups. This is Saturn in Pisces with the 3 of Wands, right? And we've got the Page of Cups underneath and the 10 of Pentacles. So with this Page of Cups is being able to communicate with yourself from, this is the magic of Pisces, right? And this is a Pisces card of through love and through imagination, right? And a new framework around that 12th house energy that's allowed you to move away from unconscious responses that feel really comfortable, right? It's a really powerful and difficult path to walk of like going and climbing that mountain for a different perspective. It's also the only card with an eclipse on. So again, it's tying into the fact that you've got eclipses in your sign, Aries. You're really striving for a newer version of self. Well, I say newer, a more integrated, expansive version of self. So this is really powerful. That's coming underneath the Three of Wands with that Ten of Pentacles. That Ten of Pentacles is your legacy energy, right? Long-term thinking, very Capricorn. And we've got the Three of Wands. This is the Sun in Aries. So with your Aries Sun and Aries Suns out there, here's your card. And this is kind of like from a higher ground energy. This figure is very confident. They know they've done everything that they need to do in order to energetically be prepared to embark on this new journey, right? These ships are going out. This figure's got no idea what's going to happen, but they're still inherently very confident in how they step in to this new framework. So I love that this is showing up with the first of the 2 Capricorn full moons. As I said, we're going to be working with these 2 downloads in the Capricorn area of our chart. So there's going to be another layer to the story that's going to be showing up of how to work with this energy. But really loving this very confident energy of like it's not trying to over plan or worry about things. It just knows its energetic frequency is going to be able to instinctively, Aries, you know, very fire energy. Fire is all about instinct. Instinctively know what it needs to do in those next steps. So for some of you, this is a new career journey altogether, or an elevation of what it is that you're already doing, as well as soul path. It's also the Sun in Aries, right? Sun is exalted in the sign of Aries. So there's an element of your visibility being very loud. You're starting a new journey around that visibility, around that reputation, or an elevated experience based on what you've been working on before. So in the lead up from the Capricorn new moon, what have you been learning? What have you been integrating? Okay, so we got a fair amount of it's been quite consistent with all the signs that, you know, so often that first pile always shows up the shadow work that we've been doing, not necessarily all the wonderful things that have been happening, because sometimes it's really helpful just to be in awareness. Oh no, I have been going through this, I have been dealing with this. We got the 5 of Pentacles, the 6, sorry, keep getting these numbers wrong, 7, 9, 9 of Wands, 7 of Wands, 9 of Swords. You've actually got all the 9s, by the way. You got the 9 of Pentacles and the 9 of Cups as well. Page of Swords, Knight of Pentacles, 7 of Pentacles, Queen of Wands. So we've got some difficult energy here around life purpose and career that you've been reflecting on with this Page of Swords. This 5 of Pentacles is a scarcity mindset, feeling left out in the cold, feeling run down, not having the resources you need. So in regards to feeling shut out from everything. So there is an element perhaps around whether, so everything that I'm going to say has various levels of frequency, right? It can be showing up really loud in your life, or you've just got the time and the space to realize, okay, no, there's still a bit of this energy within me, even if you're feeling really good in your life, right? So there's this sense of not feeling worthy of support and valued, feeling perhaps this could be about other people getting pay rises and you not getting it. You know, no matter how much effort you're putting in, you're not seeing the benefits, you're not reaping the rewards of what's going on in your career and your life purpose, and just generally feeling a bit restricted, and perhaps feeling like, oh, this particular cycle just doesn't ever feel like it's going to end. For some of you, this may be like a sudden change in your career. You know, perhaps where you've been reduced hours on your contract and, like, you know, you're feeling the pinch of it. 9 of Wands. This feels that, you know, you following your path, right? You following your career, there's a level of exhaustion, right? Again, both these cards, they're not getting much support, right? They're feeling quite isolated. You know, this figure is on the defense mode of, like, perhaps, you know, you've had bosses that are always gunning for you. It doesn't matter, like, how good you are at your job. For whatever reason, there's a level of conflict around how you're perceived, and therefore you're on the defense mechanism because you keep coming across this energy. This can be about conflict around working with authority, of wanting to go your own way, and it's just leading to emotional drain. This can also be of, like, having certain perspectives that you put across in your career and your life purpose that, again, are being met with the being in conflict rather than being around like-minded people. And there's always a part of us with this card that doesn't think that we deserve support, doesn't think we deserve help or to feel good. I just wanted to go by the lay of the land, the ancestral wisdom card. You know, there feels like this is quite a barrier. There's quite a wall up here. In walls have been quite a firm motif throughout these readings, because Saturn does link into walls, into boundaries. So there's something around bringing up old wounds, old boundaries, in order for them to be dissolved by that Saturn and Pisces energy. I've got the Seven of Wands. This for me is one of the two core archetypal wounds that we are working through as a species. This figure, unlike this figure, who's very confident being on top of the cliff, the higher ground, this figure is the opposite of that. They are on the higher ground. This represents that you have something of value. You are worthy of value. You are you know, there is worth within you. You've got something to offer. But this figure is so unsteady, right? They look really like, what the F is going on? They're wearing different shoes. They have different heels, you know, which is all, you know, great fun, actually. If you ever tried it, go out and do it. It's quite fun. But they're on a very sort of uneven surface here. And in the traditional Rider-Waite, there's almost like a giant river that this giant is straddled over. And they just seem really unsteady about the fact that they're on the higher ground. They don't have to, you know, we don't know if these ones are trying to attack this figure, but this figure is like on the defensive, in competition mode. So often in terms of career, we can see what everybody else is doing. We can see other people doing really well and then be like, well, there will be no room for me. I've got to be in competition mode over it. And I always feel like the more that we step out of that and just know our own value, all this energy sort of falls away. So there's stuff around this that maybe been bubbling to the surface, but it also shows that you're in a position where you're doing really well, that you have something of value. It's just a mindset around it. And then we have the Ten of Swords. 999. Where's the 10? There is a 10. I think that's here. The Nine of Swords. This is like, oh, where am I going? What am I headed? What am I headed? Where am I headed? Where am I going? My to-do list is so long. Did I do anything right? Did I mess that up? Am I going to get in trouble? Social anxiety. Did I say the right thing? Does that mean I've missed my career advancement? Italia molto kind of energy. This is cortisol and adrenaline running through you. This is anxiety, sleepless nights, nightmares. This is not being able to get and think outside of the solution. This is being so burnt out that you cannot even for a moment focus on the beautiful rose there and get present in the moment. This is big, heavy life, career. Am I going to be perceived in the way that's authentic to me kind of energy? So, as I said, these things could have shown up quite loudly in your life, or you have just been able to observe that these things, responses are within you. I've got the Page of Swords. I love the Page of Swords. Page of Swords has the capacity to look to the past, be present in the moment while headed towards the future. It transcends time and space. It is the investigator. It is the objective communicator. So this is your capacity to be aware of, you know, with that Saturn influence, because Saturn's been there for over a year. It was March last year in your 12th house. So you would have been ruminating. A lot of these themes would have been coming up because it's always influencing Capricorn and Aquarius, which is your hopes and your dreams as well. So you would have been spending a great deal of reflection on those unconscious spaces. And Saturn gives you the strength and the objectivity to really be able to do that. So I love that this Page of Swords is saying, hey, let's try and figure this one out. But find a methodology, a principle, a perception that is serving us and propelling us into the future rather than keeping us in a stagnant place. This could be one, you having conversations with yourself, as well as perhaps, and I don't normally get this, you having conversations with other people, right, who can help bring a bit more clarity and perspective into perhaps a doom and gloom cycle. So this is what you've been working on and what you've been integrating and learning. Then we've got the Knight of Pentacles, the Seven of Pentacles with the Queen of Wands. This is highlighting that you've had the energy around you and the capacity just to take things slowly, to work your way through it, and put in sort of daily dedication to a different perspective, to a new way of engaging with it, which is more in alignment with the Queen of Wands, right? So the Knight of Pentacles is the biggest and the slowest horse. It is about the daily grind, the daily practice, but also the confidence and the capacity to embody a new way of engaging with the world, of taking those steps day by day in regards to your career and your life purpose, and not freaking out of whether anything's manifesting. This is genuinely and I love the Knight of Pentacles of like, keep going, keep calm and carry on. It's very grounded energy, and I like that showing up with the heavy cards that come before that, the clarity of the Page of Swords with the groundedness and the capacity to step in to transforming your energy on the 3D plane. Seven of Pentacles, very sort of similar to that Knight of Pentacles, because this is about putting in the daily effort to tend to those new seeds that you may have been planting around. Okay, what's the next stage of my career? Where do I want to be headed? And that's reason perhaps why some anxieties come through, because it's the unknown, it's the unseen. But again, with the Seven of Pentacles, it's an awareness of this will unfold, but it needs some tender loving care first in order to activate it. Itiala Madoila, Queen of Wands, very independent, very courageous, very passionate, very sort of entrepreneurial, and it's yin energy. Yin queens cultivate, they nurture, they nourish, they strategize. So there's something here of what you've been accessing, this new dedication, this understanding of tending to the next part of the cycle with your a deeper nourishment of your passions and your capacity to act independently rather than worrying about what other people think. Itala diala diala ot 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 ilama ot ot ot. Okay, the download happens to be half the deck, I reckon, or a third. That's half. That's an exaggeration. Whoa, but also whoa. So the download that will unfold over the next 6 months. So this is to see what kind of energy you're working with. The more you've got a feel of it, the more you can autonomously tap into it from your own perspective. 10 of Swords in reverse, 4 of Cups in reverse, 5 of Wands in reverse, the Devil card, hello Capricorn, the Ace of Cups, the High Priestess, 2 of Swords in reverse, 4 of Pentacles, the Lovers, there's that 9 of Pentacles, there's that 9 of Cups, 2 of Cups, 3 of Cups. Really lovely, empowering message here that's linked around a lot of what that going on in the sign of Cancer, of like a real, of connecting to your emotional body in regards to where you're headed in a way that brings you nourishment rather than discord. 10 of Swords in reverse, very, very karmic card, right? A lot of perceptions, ideas, constructs, that mental suit, wounds along your spine that have immobilized you. Spine is very, very karmic. We have a lot of karmic energy stuck there. The energies that I work with, they would be really happy with me if I did 10 minutes every day of spine work, right? They wouldn't really care about anything else, but have I done it? No. One day I'll get round to doing all the things. But these spines, these swords are those spells, those limiting beliefs, those constructs, those ideas, those words that have been said to us or we've said to ourselves that has immobilized you, right? Where you haven't been able to get up and go and be yourself, right? You haven't been able to, there may have been some betrayal here. Maybe it's over a career path, itiala, or a boss, or toila, where you've just felt very rigidly stuck in a box, right? And you haven't been able to fully embody yourself. It's in reverse. So these are falling away. This particular part of a karmic saga. Ichatiele ma otoela. Ititini ma otoela. Atiela ma otoela. Atiania otoela. Ishitiala mutofiana. Whoa, okay. So that was a big release. And as before I said saga, I was thinking about everything in your 4th house, right? That's where the ancestors are. So we've got a lot of vision and communication to open up their heart space so they can release old wounds. Itala, and help those swords fall out. Itiala motoila. Whatever it is around your career, your visibility, your reputation, the sun is coming up, right? More visibility. You're no longer hidden in the darkness of the night. You're no longer immobilized for the next part of your journey. Itiala motoila. Itiala. 4 of Cups. what we've got, 4 of Cups, 5 of Wands in reverse. This is comparison, is the thief of joy. What is everybody else doing? Why don't we have that flow? Why don't I feel in union? Why don't I feel celebrated, appreciated? All of this joy energy of the 3 of Cups. You do happen to have the 3 of Cups as your final card for the download. And this is a quite a depressive, stagnant energy of like, rather than witnessing what everybody else is doing and celebrating that because they are all you, and there's a sense of withdrawal, of frustration, of like, I'm never going to have that. I'm not worthy of that. But again, crossed arms, crossed legs, they're not doing anything about it. It's a very stagnant energy. And this is falling away. So if people have had their career raised up or a pay rise or whatever it is, or you're just seeing everybody else in your field doing really well and you're feeling quite withdrawn and stagnant, right? And not necessarily getting that, this is... it can steal your damn joy, right? Where it's all about the internal responses and your internal power and not giving that away from the external. And this is all about giving it away to the external. So this is in reverse. This energy is sort of falling away. You're sort of stepping into a fresher energy of your commitment to your longer term goals. The 5 of Wands. This is... I'm never ever going to forget the meme that I saw of this card, and underneath it, it said stupid tent. For those of you who have camped with an old-fashioned tent, I know new tents are becoming a lot easier to put up. You're fighting with all the poles to try and get the tent upright, right? So there's something around... and I've just never been able to look at this card since. There's something around a lot of... You've been doing a lot of things... and you go to one side of the tent and you put the pole up, and then you go around the other and it falls down. Then you've got someone else helping you, and the pole keeps poking you in the back that they have, and there's just a lot of sort of tents going up, going down, tents going up, going down, and not quite getting that tent fully upright. It's a very chaotic energy, the 5 of Wands. There's conflict, but it's not quite the 5 of Swords. It can be about training. Itala, diala. So with the work that you've been doing over the last 6 months has been like apprenticeship training energy for the next cycle. But as I said, there's a lot of movement here, but there's no momentum. So there's something around not quite getting it moving forward. It's in reverse. So this is falling away. That energy, that restriction, that blockage is falling away. And then, oh, I'm loving this selection of cards. So then we've got the Devil, which is Capricorn, with the Ace of Cups. Devil's been showing up a fair amount, not surprising. And the overall prevailing energy I'm getting from this card in this particular transit is not the whole addiction side of things or being trapped and caged. Right before the Devil, it was Pan. It was the masculine fertility energy for a lot of the earth, not religions, but earth practices. It was a very virile, very big manifestation energy with horns, right? And it's also Capricorn, it's the mountain goat. Capricorn is very dedicated, right? It's the collective earth sign, it's longevity, it's longer term cycles. And this is, with the Devil showing up here, with the Ace of Cups, is you falling in love with your life purpose again. Your capacity to tap into this power and being able to create in the 3D world from your power that isn't being chained. And with that Ace of Cups, it's bringing about peace, right? We're moving away from a lot of this conflict and this anxiety, this overflow, this sense of emotional connection to your work, right? Coming from your foundational space with the Sun, Mercury and Venus over in the sign of Cancer in your home of like heightened intuition and connection to love, right? The Dove of Peace, the overflow. This is an offering. This is a renewal of your energy. And also heightened intuition around where to be going. The High Priestess, the 2 of Swords, the 4 of Pentacles. So the High Priestess coming through loud and clear. This is very yin energy. This is the moon's card. And the high priestess has a deep knowing within her that she is drawing towards her that which she needs to bring fertility and abundance into her life, right? The moon represents our needs and our nourishment and our intuition. So she knows she's drawing towards her that which facilitates your needs, facilitates your intuition and your nourishment. There's also something about letting go of control with the high priestess. Very intuitive, very psychic. Essentially, she's the beginning part of accessing the Tao, right? I've been talking about this a lot in the last couple of months, of getting out of the way of your own nature, having trust in yourself, right? This often takes a while of self-exploration, and then just allowing yourself to step out of control, and then seeing from this place of surrender, from this high priestess place, what our instincts are driven to take action. So it's not about not doing any action. It's about allowing some stillness, allowing this element of surrender, and then seeing what comes through from it. It's also saying that there's an instigating of a deeper knowing within you that whatever your 10th house means to you, that the high priestess is creating a space for you to fundamentally within yourself know that you are drawing towards you what you need in order to flourish in this area of your life, where you're not having to be in this worried state. You're not having to be in a conflict state. You can use that energy when all of this may come up, because it still may come up. I'm never going to say that that's not going to happen. She's saying, breathe, and just allow. Itiala. We've got the Two of Swords with it. And the Two of Swords, upright, this is Moon in Libra. This is all about going and meditating and pausing to figure out who you are in your new landscape. Itala, to get another perspective from by going inward through your third eye. This is saying that you don't need that anymore. You know, right? There's a knowing within, and that you are now able to create from a stronger sense of power, because we've got the Four of Pentacles. Love this card. One of my favorites at the moment. For me, this card is about your inner soul's frequency not being distorted by the external world in a way that diminishes your soul's path, right? There's a level of protection with this card, with the pentacles over the feet, heart and crown chakra. Pentacles represent the 5-pointed Venus star point, right? So it's linked into Venus. This figure is wearing a crown. There's an element of sovereignty of how this figure is manifesting in the 3D world that's providing a level of safety and security. That doesn't have to be money. That could just simply you being very present in your own power, your energy not being distorted by the outside world of how you're seen, that you're then able to create a sense of structure and safety with the path of your life. We then have the Lovers, right? This is the Gemini energy showing up. You have Gemini in your third house of communication, as well as your environmental frequency and the things you do on a day-to-day basis. So there's something here around you putting into practice on a day-to-day basis, finding meaning in your life, finding that joy, and then also perhaps having a daily practice of, I'm going to get creative. I'm going to play around with this particular idea in terms of my career, my life purpose. And this is Gemini, so don't take it too seriously. Don't have any expectations or assumptions. It's all about the play of doing it in the moment. The Lovers is about being able to make the right choice that serves you in the long term. So I love that this is showing up for the 10th house energy, as well as, again, the Lovers falling in love with your life purpose, with your career. There's something around union, because you've also got the Two of Cups as well, of a union of your happy home and happy work. I'm just getting a feeling with that, with this energy. It's just having a bit of a spring in your step. Right, again, it's free of the expectation of where anything is headed. It's simply about connecting in the present moment to the union with you and source and co-creating. For some of you, this may be about, because life purpose can be about meeting someone and being in a blissful union, right? So there may be something there for some of you. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If you don't have it in your life and you're seeking it, don't seek it. Focus on you, embody your own love, be your own beloved, and see how it unfolds, because you're no longer in conflict and lack if you're seeking and striving for something and sort of clawing at it. But those of you who may be in a happy relationship, I can see this as an elevation of that. Because we've got the Two of Cups as well coming up as well. So they're both about union. Nine of Pentacles, Nine of Cups. So what's being activated with this cycle is you knowing what you need to do in order to bring about a holistic lifestyle, right? This figure is hanging out in their garden. They're also very successful at their work. They've got a lot of luxury. So they've had resources that they can utilize in their private life. There isn't a scarcity energy here. But this figure also knows when to say no and what to prioritize. So this is Venus in Virgo. I love that this is showing up as saying the energy that's coming through with this full moon for you is to tap into this, right? Of really being more confident and more sure of how to facilitate bringing this into being. Nine of Cups. Feeling very confident within yourself, feeling a sense of gratitude, a sense of inner abundance, right? This is the inner confidence that we cultivate. And so there's a feeling good about, and on an emotional level, about where you're headed and what you're doing. And that really matches up with that Three of Wands, of the confidence of like, I've got this, right? Don't know what's going to happen. Who knows? But I'm grateful for existing. I'm grateful for being able to play in this way. And then we got the Two of Cups, Three of Cups. Beautiful energy for the 10th house. And with that Cancer energy of your home, right? It really does feel like a union between the two, and your ability to put that into your own embodiment and your actions of bringing those into balance. Again, we've got the union here, the masculine, feminine, and spirit. This happens to be Venus in Cancer. So this can see support coming in from your home life. When perhaps you're not having to worry about relationship dynamics. So there's something coming through around an alignment, whether this is with a friend who you live with, a lover, a parental figure, whatever it is, there's a real sense of respect here and union. This can also be with bosses, with your clientele, that there is a recognition coming in and a sense of love and connection with what it is, whatever that 10th house represents for you. Then the Three of Cups. So we've got that Three of Cups that the Four of Cups was looking at and saying, I don't have it. And now it's showing up. And this is about union. It is about flow and celebration with others, being able to communicate and show love and have a lot of joy. It doesn't necessarily have to agree with everybody, but there's a real sense of acknowledging each other and really caring and loving for one another, of wanting to celebrate and feel the joy and the abundance in your life. And so you can see this in terms of that 10th house of just things coming more into emotional flow. There being situations where you can celebrate. This can be about collaboration with others as well. Are your career being celebrated? This could be like the boss throwing you a party, where it's making you feel good, right? It's making you connect to love in the way that you see your life purpose. So, way to work with this energy, how to amplify it. Got the Eight of Swords. This is Jupiter in Gemini. This is the acknowledgement of limiting beliefs, ideas, constructs, all being an illusion, right? This figure thinks they're trapped in a cage when they're not. They can get out. There's no way around it. They can definitely get out. And so for this showing up to work with this is calling you to observe where you have these limiting beliefs, right? Because it is about implementing the frequency and doing so through awareness and clearing out some energy. That there's some stuff going on in your life that has kept you kind of trapped. And this cycle is giving you the space and the intuition to be able to find these things out and release them. That 10th house energy can be from a lack of self-value, right? And a self-worth. Do I even deserve to be recognized? Do I deserve to have resources and support and be visible? Do I deserve my career to be moving in the way that I would like it to? Especially with Saturn being in the 12th. Of having the capacity to go into those unconscious spaces and dig that stuff up, right? Queen of Cups, this is calling you to step into a space of serenity rather than fear. So not that Nine of Swords. The Queen of Cups, she She can see really far and really wide, right? She can see into the future, very psychic energy. And despite that, she is so serene. So she knows what's going to happen and she ain't bothered, right? She's so at peace in the moment and her environment that she's in fact turning into the ocean. Her foot is turning blue. She's very nurturing, very nourishing of your emotional body, very tender, very caring, very intuitive. And this is calling you to be very kind and loving to yourself, to create some space for you to step into a place of serenity, very similar to the High Priestess energy, right? Of being at peace in the moment that you're in. Okay, say you've got a grand plan of where you're headed, and you spend the whole time being frustrated that you're not there yet, or that things aren't going in the way that you would like them to. That just pulls up resistance, it pulls up conflict. This is calling you to step into a space of serenity, that you may not know how things are going to unfold, but what you are is at peace with your current environment, with your emotional body. You are not getting triggered in a way that is then diminishing your sense of serenity, right? So it's really calling you to play. This is the Gemini energy of the new moon. Play, not take things too seriously, and really try and step in from that love energy that Venus is really embodying over in your 4th house. I've got the Magician. Again, this is about play. This is play around. Know that you have all the skills and tools that you have around you to manifest in the world. This is about, as I said, play, right? Try things out. Carve up some time during your day just to try out new ideas, try out new things, and allow yourself to enjoy the process rather than the end result. This is also saying that there's, you've got a lot of power around you. This is Mercury's card from your 4th house. So I can see, again, doing some things at home that are linked into your life purpose and your career, that communication, the ritual, tapping to the ancestors, building, creating, doing something, taking action in your home life. Again, that's coming from a very playful place. We then have the Knight of Cups, which is kind of doubling down on that Queen of Cups, of you moving through the world with more love, right? More ease, more flow, right? The Knight of Cups isn't in fear. It's following its heart. It's the true romantic. It's guided through its intuition to that which nourishes its emotional body. But it isn't rushing around. It's also not very slow. It's just enjoying its own existence. So this is really saying, this is Knights implement and they embody their suit of getting imaginative, getting creative, seeing what moves your heart space, and allowing yourself to take action around that in a non-committal way. Right, let's get you a oracle card. This is the Shaman's Dream Oracle. I have loved using this so much. Used it in all the Gemini readings. Very, very powerful deck. I've also noticed, the couple of tarot readers that I do check in with, they've all started using it as well. It's like clearly this energy is around in the collective, which I love. So let's get some, you might get one, might get two. We'll see what happens. What does Aries need to know about this Capricorn, first Capricorn full moon in Cancer season 2024? What does the lovely Aries need to know in regards to this particular reading and transit? What wants to come through from the dream world? What does Aries need to know? Wow, there we go. Interesting. Okay, they wanted to cut the deck again. So we have Stranger, Curiosity, Gathering Around, the Power of Community, and then we have Mindful, Groupthink. Now, what order do they want to go in? Okay, Mind, Think, Ituilia. All the decks are in the description box, by the way, if any of them take your fancy. So I love the energy of this card. Keeping a clear mind, hurtful thoughts, groupthink. The human mind can be so many things: a prison, a latrine, interesting, a circus, a temple, a cave. It can be a place of restriction or a place of never-ending expansion. Right now, be careful of where you wander in your mind. The quality of your thoughts is key, as you're in a fertile time for full manifestation. You want to ensure that the seeds you plant will sprout and flourish into the life you seek to grow. Be mindful not to scatter weeds. It's easy to be influenced by others right now too, especially in our digital age. It's hard to protect yourself from the energy and the sheer amount of information bombarding you 24/7. If you allow all the fear and uncertainty to pollute your mind, that's definitely everything here, and in your emotions, you will fill yourself up with this negativity and then see more of it in the outer world. Stay out of gossip and other forms of groupthink, for when you cut another person down to their level due to their perceived mistakes or limit them by your envy, that's definitely that Four of Cups, you activate lack for yourself. So that's just repeating what I mentioned earlier. So fill yourself with thoughts of plenty. That's the play, right? Of just enjoying the experience rather than, and the joy of existence, which I think I mentioned with that Nine of Cups. That allows you to tap into that full capacity to co-create with the universe. Imagine your universe unfettered by scarcity and alive with abundant hope and goodness. Be mindful of what your mind is full of and keep the faith. Good brings more good, love more love, gratitude, more things to be grateful of. Okay, love that. That's just sort of summing up what came through. It's always very assuring as a channeler, as an intuitive, that you can often feel like everything smokes and mirrors. And then when you just get the doubling down of all the messages, it just brings me a lot of joy. Stranger, the other, moving past fears of differences, curiosity and acceptance. The stranger moves through the world in a shroud of darkness that often elicits fear, rejection, and uncertainty, as the danger of the unknown defines its very presence. Yes, there is a veil of separation between you. Look closer and summon the courage to remain open to what you might find. You may be conditioned to look only for what mirrors what is safe and known to you, refusing to entertain any concepts of other beyond something to fear. That's, again, that sort of limping back and it's like, get creative. Try and do weird little different things. And not necessarily every day, but on a semi-regular basis. That go again, like Capricorn can be a bit of a... Capricorn moons, there's no get on Capricorn suns, can be kind of like no energy, right? Because Saturn's a bit of a no planet. And like the default is no, right? I often find that my dad's a Capricorn sun. I'll use him as an example, as well as the list that's now in my head. So I've got some really near and dear people in my life with a Capricorn moon. I've got an Aquarius moon. I've got a Saturn ruled moon as well. It's a bit different, but there's still this energy of no. Like the first instinct is no. And then allowing yourself the pause to sort of open up to other ideas, other possibilities. Wasn't there something about talking to somebody else? Did I mention that? Was this in this reading? Talking to somebody else, brainstorming stuff, and really being open and curious to what other people or other ideas that you have that may be not what you'd normally think about. Okay, I'm trying not to think about all the examples I have in my head when I've said something to someone with a Cap, Sun or Moon and they've gone no, and then they repeat back to me what I've just said and I'm like, okay, cool story. Love you, Capricorn, truly, madly, deeply. Sorry, I'm just trying to find. In order to broaden your world and your experience of it, you must refute the illusion that sameness is the only way. Right, Capricorn's quite traditional. So there's this element of I'm sticking by the same old. And tradition's great in some ways, but it can turn into dogma. And we're here to sack off dogma at the moment, guys. This is one of the upgrades that we're working on. In order to wait, did I just say that? Nothing you expect externally matches up with the other, and you're challenged by your own inexperience. But don't miss this opportunity for learning. Something extraordinary is being offered to you now if you remain curious and teachable. Allow the newness to envelop you as you explore the possibilities. Remember, this is an inconjunct, the last inconjunct. So it's something that is beyond, that we may have been out of reach before, that is unconventional. This is a departure from your expectations, but the stranger has come to invite you to dance to a new music, a new tempo, a new sensation that will add more dimension to you and what you create as a result. Now is the time to leave room for other points of view, other ways of seeing with humility and grace. This is a defining moment. Take the risk. Life is like a precious diamond with many facets, not just one. Play, play, play. Don't take it too seriously. Play, 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 play. Gathering around the power of community, being safe and secure, allowing help. There are times when you need positive reinforcement from others. Perhaps your journey has made you tired just before reaching the proverbial finish line where your friends await to cheer your arrival. Know this, you are not alone, regardless of whether you think you are. People gather around to help with your next step as you bring it forth from the cosmos into the beauty of life. There has never been another you before, and you have a unique relationship with your friends, family, communities, and all those who gather to help you in the unseen realms. That feels like that Two of Cups and that lover's energy. Whether it's you getting on better with your boss, collaborating with a business partner, the people that you live at home, of just getting there's some more support that's coming in. It's allowing you to have the freedom to play. Itala diala doesn't just have to be on the 3D realm either, right? That ancestor work. Itali mo toila. Now is the time to allow assistance from others. Ask for it and trust you will receive it. You are safe and secure right now in this moment. Truly supported in your beautiful, amazing, complicated life. You are heard by angels, witnessed by the divine, and loved. Yes, loved. Now and always by life itself. Whatever your query, you will find the help you will need to achieve what you desire. And you will not have to do this alone. Count on it. Itiala diala. Well, Aries, what a reading. I hope this resonated. If it did, or if you simply just enjoyed looking at the tarot cards, hearing about the astrology, it would bring me great joy if you hit that like button. It also obviously helps the algorithm, which is also another way of supporting the channel. Love to hear from you. Drop me a comment in the description box. I always try and get back to everybody. But if you want a personal reading, perhaps to deep dive on this a bit more or anything else, my website is in the description box and my email address is on the website. I've also got an Instagram account and a community page where I post everything. But on that Instagram account, you can DM me if you send me a voice note. We can go over the context of what your reading wants to be. But other than that, Aries, good luck out there, right? I'm loving this energy. Be good to yourselves, be good to those around you, and most importantly, be well until we meet again.